I do not have an interesting career path like Minister Teo. I guess when he was an accountant auditor, I was still chasing the dragon in one part of Singapore. In the year 1993, that was a year when I was released from prison after serving more than 10 over years for a drug addiction problem. So that year I tell myself, I just want to be a normal Singaporean just like you, to get a job and live a normal life. I remember that year I went for 6 job interviews. Each time I was very politely refused. That year I realized Singapore has this lapse where once you are an ex-offender, you will never be able to get a normal job and live a normal life. That year I vowed to myself, if one day I'm going to become a business owner, I never thought I would be a chef. I want to hire this group of people. That time it's just talk only lah. As I look back now, 2016, I have I'm running a chain of 10 restaurants in Singapore now. So I became a chef when I was 45 years old. My point is it's not too late to change your career if you are 45. And prior to that, if you ask me whether I have worked in a restaurant before, honestly, I have never worked in a restaurant setting before. And 45 that year, I started a Chinese restaurant. Before that, I have never worked for anybody in the F&B industry. The only time I can remember I cooked professionally is when I was in prison. I cooked for the warders and the superintendent. So when this opportunity to start a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, 200 seaters, and what I did was, I bought a chef uniform just like this. Print my name and print the word executive chef. Some more spelled wrongly, the executive chef got to take out and change. That was how I started. Okay, I will rewind a little bit. How come I come into the food industry? Never even worked in the kitchen before. I remember in the year 1999, there was a very big earthquake in Turkey. I don't know whether you still remember. I was in this disaster relief team doing volunteer work with a group of doctors, nurses, traveling to Istanbul, travel to Turkey, and of course their job is to, do medical work. So my job is to build a tent, build a kitchen, and cook for the doctors and nurses. So after every meal, the nurses will come to me, hey Benny, wow, your cooking is fantastic, man. Where do you learn cooking from? Maybe you should think of starting some food business. My point is, sometimes you have a skill you don't know. Sometimes you have a gift you don't know. You don't realize, you need another person to remind you, hey, you got this gift, why don't you do something about it? After about 6 years, 2005, I'm 45 years old, I started that Chinese restaurant. Very idealistic, hiring 90% of ex-offender. That's the reason why I fear as I look back. Why? Because especially drug addiction is very contagious. If one is affected, it will affect the other. It's like a domino effect. So my first business venture failed. 2006, I have the opportunity to have an internship in Jamie Oliver's restaurant, 15. So if you ask me, what did I learn when I was at 15? Before I went to Jamie Oliver's kitchen, I thought I was very passionate about food. So one day I was supposed to be at the entree department, doing all the starters. So my sous chef told me, he said, hey Benny, the starter today will be, You know, very Jamie Oliver style, wild rockets, olive oil, extra virgin, sea salt, black pepper, do a salad with some prosciutto. So, okay, the first order was fire, so simple, I thought it was, just using one hand to mix the salad. So the next thing I realized was my sous chef is shouting at me, "Hey Benny, what are you doing? Do you know that these greens have life? You need to use both hands and slowly. There and there, I know what is passion for food. '18 Chef was started in 2007 after I came back from UK. At that time, I bought one, so you asked me to write business proposal. I would not know how to write, but 2006, there's a lot of write-up about me in the media, in the newspaper about this botak. He's the only Singaporean that actually works with Jamie Oliver. Later years, I know I'm the only Asian to actually went into the kitchen and rough it out with all the chefs. So I remember in 2007, my first outlet was at Simei East Point Mall. Do you know where is Simei East Point Mall? I would say that when you talk about Simei East Point Mall, you never think about good food. When you talk about the East, you talk about Tampines Mall, right? Tampines 1. So, because I have no credential, 18 Chef was, nobody knows about 18 Chefs. So my first outlet was a 689 square feet space with the kitchen, with the dining area. And we gathered a few staff and then we started that business. It took us about 9 months for people, for the community over there to really accept us. Because when you walk into 18 Chef, all the service crew are with tattoos, So if you are the parents, we want your kids to actually go into that restaurant, every day will be blasting Linkin Park. Today we are still blasting Linkin Park at all my outlets. So it took us 9 months. How I know it's 9 months? So there's one day, a lady brought her daughter and a group of classmates to my restaurant. He said, "Mr. Benny, my daughter is celebrating her birthday with a classmate. And whatever they eat, charge me. I'm very sure that when my daughters and the friends in your restaurant, they will be very safe." And that's where I know that Simei is a very small community. Everybody know one another, Everybody will congregate at the NTUC supermarket, And then when I walk to the car park, they will call me, "Hi, chef." I also don't know who they are. So it's a very small community. So that's where we started. I remember that first year our turnover was 50,000. 50,000, that means lose a lot of money, 50,000. Last year, 2015, with 9 outlets, we are able to clock 20 million turnover. And we just started our Star Vista outlet early this year. So if you think that, wow, very glamorous, Benny got 10 outlets, wow. But you never see the suffering part when we started. I just share one example of setbacks because I don't want to tell you the nice story, then the not so nice I don't want to tell. Not fair, right? So I remember in 2010, we are technically bankrupt. One day I received a call from my landlord's Asia Mall. I hope nobody works in Asia Mall here. Say, "Benny, today 4 o'clock, we're going to repossess the place. And because you owe us 2 months rental." So I called my chairman and say, hey, Roger, that was 11 o'clock, and Asia Mall say, we got to close. So in my heart, I said, how am I going to tell my 20-over staff to say today is your last day? How am I going to tell my staff? So what I did was, I actually told the landlord, I said, can I have a meeting with you at 1 o'clock? And I took out a piece of white paper. And then I tell my landlord, I say, give me 6 months, I will pay you back by gyro. I'm buying time, I'm buying time. Criminal minds is at work. I'm buying time only, really. For the first 3 weeks, I pay every day. Then later on, by certain months, every week I pay. And by the 6th month, I will pay you by gyro. I'm buying time, I'm buying time. I got no plans. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how. 6 month time, I pay them by gyro. Of course, I need to do a lot of changes in my restaurant, in my menu, in my pricing. And that's the first time I realized that I cannot market the restaurant, I need to market myself. I always look at the banks, you know, in Singapore you have UOB, DBS. You know, the CEO will be the one that's helming the bank, wearing the business attire. You know, DBS is Mr. Gupta. So I was thinking a restaurant should be helmed by the chef. So that's the first time I printed a picture of myself this big. I'm very shy, you know, really. That was at my Tiong Bahru Plaza outlet, and then I started to market myself, and then I started to market 18 Chef on Facebook. I still do, because it's free. And that is one of the turning point. From 2010, we still see the rate, but 2011, we are still seeing the rate, but from 2012 onwards, we are actually doing pretty well until today. Thank you.